This assembly of the P99 is almost identical to a Glock. Take the magazine out, make sure it's unloaded, push the decocker up here, move the slide back just a little bit, and pull down on these tabs, and the slide should come off. If it cocks again while you're moving the slide back, simply push the decocker again. This differs from the Glock only in that pulling the trigger is not necessary because of the decocker. This gun does come with 15 round magazines in 9mm, but 16 round magazines are also available. However, the 15 rounders have more witness holes, not for every round, but still nicer than the 6 you get on the 16 rounder. The 40 caliber version comes with 12 round magazines. The grip angle on this is fairly straight, like a 1911. It points pretty much where you point it. The rear sight is adjustable for windage via this screw right here, and it does come with several front sights to adjust for elevation. However, this one is actually wearing Meprolite night sights. And the rear sight is actually fairly easy to get off. There is a little button here that you can push down on, and then the sight comes right off. Fairly easy to change out the sights yourself. Front sight is simply an Allen wrench screw in the bottom. However, the night sight is a little bit different. It does have a loaded chamber indicator right here. When a round is in the chamber, the extractor will move back slightly and reveal some red paint. This gun also comes with 3 interchangeable back straps. This is the standard one that comes on it. Comes with one that's larger, which is absolutely gargantuan. That's what it looks like. I mean, it's freaking huge. I don't know of anyone that has a hand that big. It also looks pretty stupid. And here's the smaller one. And it doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't look as good as the middle or medium-sized one. But it is pretty comfortable. I actually can't decide whether or not I like the small one or the medium one more. However, it is, on this particular gun, with my other P99 it's not so bad, but it is very hard to get this pin out of here. I had to take a hammer and a punch to it. It also has a cocked indicator, so that if this red dot is showing, it means the striker is cocked and can fire. In the QA model, it can only fire if that red dot is showing. Now it's decocked and it will not fire. However, on the AS model, it simply means that it's an anti-stress or single action, but it can still be fired in double action if it is not cocked. There is quite a bit of play in the slide. Don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I would think that it would make the tolerances a little bit lower, so maybe it makes it a little bit more reliable, I don't know. But it is kind of annoying. However, speaking of reliability, I have only had one malfunction in this, which was a light strike, and upon reinserting the round it still didn't fire, but it did fire out of my brother's SIG 226. So I don't know what was wrong there, but that's out of about 300 rounds that fired through it. These are the differences between the first generation P99 and the current generation P99. First of all, the trigger guard is round on this version. It has a straight weaver rail. However, I've heard that it's not compatible with everything still. The serrations are longer and wider, and the thumb rest is thicker. Magazine release is extended, and the lines are recessed into the slide. However, this part is only recessed or thinner because it's the 9mm, whereas this is the 40 caliber, so that's not a generational difference. But as you can see, on the Generation 1, trigger guard is slanted. There's a ski hump in the trigger guard. It has a proprietary slanted rail that's closed at the front. The lines are just bends in the metal, they're not reliefed into the gun. And the serrations are much shorter and thinner. And the thumb rest is thinner. It doesn't look very much different, the thumb rest, but it does feel quite a bit different. Not substantially, but it's noticeable. My take on the differences are the current generation's slide serrations look better, the reliefed lines look better. However, these serrations on the Generation 1 are much easier to grasp. The rail is kind of crappy because you can only attach things that are specifically made for this gun, which are kind of sparse, to be truthful. The trigger guard honestly looks cooler on the Generation 1. The thinner thumb rests, I think, feel better. It makes the gun feel slightly slimmer. As far as the magazine releases go, I don't really have a preference. The extended one is nice, but I don't think it's necessary. It seems a little bit flimsier, and this one seems to have a little bit more leverage on it, and it's really not that much more inconvenient to reach back that much farther as opposed to that. One other thing I forgot to mention is that on the Generation 2 or 3, it's disputed on which one this would be, but on the current generation, the beaver tail is rounded off, whereas on the old Generation 1, it's sharper. And also, for the sake of completeness, this is the P99 compact with the QA trigger in 9mm. You can get pinky extension magazines, or magazine base plates, or flat-based magazines. I personally prefer the flat-based because with the pinky extension they kind of point up like a Glock, which I do not like. The trigger guard is slightly more rounded at the bottom, whereas on the full size it's flat on the bottom, and it's a little bit less comfortable right here because of that. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. I don't know if it's a difference between the full size and the compact, or this particular gun and this particular gun, but I think the QA trigger on the compact is a little bit lighter and a little bit easier to shoot with.